Justice has been served and it is awesome! Plus, I also went to see this movie with my friend Michael, who has his own YouTube channel, Mike Svi. I've probably completely butchered your name there, mate. I do apologise, but I'll leave a link to his channel down below. Anyway, I went to see the movie with him. He dressed as Batman. It was awesome. I loved it. Everyone at the cinema loved it. Now that's out of the way, review time. Justice League. So Justice League is the 5th movie in the DCEU universe and stars Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, Ray Fisher, Ezra Miller, Jason Momoa, Amy Adams, Jeremy Irons, Diane Lane, Kieran Hines and J.K. Simmons. And this movie pretty much picks up exactly where Batman vs Superman left it off, with Superman being dead, the world basically going to shit, and a very evil force is coming to Earth, threatening all life on Earth. Batman figures this out before anyone else, but also figures out that this is something that he cannot do alone. He needs to set up a team of heroes, people with abilities, to help him take this threat down. And so he works with Diana Prince, or Wonder Woman, played by Gal Gadot, to set this team up, ready to fight the villain Steppenwolf, before he destroys all life on Earth. The first thing that I am going to say about this movie is I feel that critics are being very ridiculously harsh with this film. Sure, this movie does have its flaws, which I will get into in a minute, but as a film, as an entertaining film as well, something that I've wanted to see since I was a little kid. Since I started watching the Justice League animated show when I was a kid, I've wanted to see this on the big screen for years. And I genuinely believe this movie has done it justice. Pun not really intended there, but I like it. For a lot of great things about this movie, the first thing that I'm going to say is the cast are all phenomenal. They are so perfectly cast as their characters in this film. First off, Ben Affleck as Batman and Bruce Wayne absolutely knocks it out of the park yet again. He was one of the best parts of Batman vs Superman, and again in this movie it was my favourite part of the film. It is a different Batman that you saw in Batman vs Superman. He's no longer killing people willy-nilly. He has seen Superman's death as a turning point for himself, and granted, I didn't mind the Batman in Batman vs Superman. I understood why he was doing what he was doing when he saw the suit of Robin, but since Superman's death he has come back to his old ways of not killing people, and it is a Batman that everyone knows and loves. Ben Affleck even said that this Justice League would show you a new Batman, and we definitely got that. Again, one of the best parts of the film. I loved him. And you've got Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, who near enough steals the show. Again, she's so good as this character, absolutely flawless. She kicks ass, she's funny, she can pull on your heartstrings if she needs to. She's just so good in this movie. She was perfectly cast as Wonder Woman. Then you have newcomers, including the Flash, played by Ezra Miller, who again was so well cast in this film. Don't get me wrong, I love Grant Gustin in the Flash TV show. I think he's absolutely phenomenal. But Ezra Miller in the movie version of this character, he did it justice. He made it his own. He added his own quirks to the character. You can see differences between the two as well as some similarities as well, but Ezra Miller, he definitely added for most of the comedy in this film. I'm very excited to see him in his solo film because of what I've seen of him in this film. And again, great performance. I loved him in this movie, as I did Jason Momoa as Aquaman. He was fantastic. As soon as he was cast, immediately all jokes about Aquaman just went out the window because he is a badass in this film. Admittedly, he's a member of the Justice League that is pushed to the back a little bit more than others, and we don't focus that much on him, but I feel like that could be a little bit because his movie is coming out next, I believe, in the DCEU timeline. I could be wrong there, but the Justice League gave me enough introduction to this character to make me want to see more, especially when his movie is coming out soon. And Jason Momoa knocked out the park as Aquaman as well. And finally, you have Ray Fisher as Cyborg, the character I was most worried about because you don't know much about him if you haven't read the comics or seen the TV show or Teen Titans. But because his character is basically 90% machine, he's the most human character out of all of these characters in the Justice League so far. I was surprised with how much depth they actually gave to Cyborg's character in fleshing him out. And Ray Fisher did a fantastic job portraying this character. You can see that he's very damaged. He's not very trustworthy of the people that he meets at first. He thinks he's a monster, a weapon. Then you see his character grow as the movie goes along, as he connects with the Justice League, and that is one of the biggest praises I can give this film. Not only were all 5 members of the Justice League fantastic in their acting ability, I mean, they all gave incredible performances, but the chemistry between all 5 of these guys was absolutely phenomenal. I loved every minute of their time together on screen. I was never bored when it was all 5 of them together in a room or anything like that, just bouncing off of one another. It was very entertaining, it was very funny, it was very emotional at times as well, but overall those 5 were absolutely phenomenal. They stole the movie, they made the movie for me what I wanted to see, the Justice League together on the big screen. It was great. I loved it. Other great things is the more uplifting, lighter tone that this movie actually has compared to Batman vs Superman. We knew they were going for a lighter tone when we saw Wonder Woman, but this movie definitely confirms that DC are on the right tracks to making their cinematic universe even better than before. They've taken on all the criticisms from their previous films. I mean, admittedly, I've really enjoyed all their previous films beforehand. Granted, they have their flaws, but I enjoyed them for what they are. However, I am very impressed in the direction they are going with these characters, and I'm very intrigued to see if they continue doing that as their cinematic universe continues to expand. It's worth pointing out that Zack Snyder is the only credited writer director in this film because he had to leave the movie due to tragic personal reasons, which I will not say for you guys. If you want to have a look it up online, it is on there, but I will not say it here. In which Joss Whedon was then brought in and they did some extensive reshoots and some rewrites, basically creating this lighter tone. However, you don't really notice a clash in these two directors. So you have your Zack Snyder stylistic action scenes, the cinematography just looks absolutely gorgeous throughout. We also have some very comedic moments throughout these action sequences that feel very Joss Whedon-esque, if that's even the right word to use to describe that, but it's almost as if when Joss Whedon came onto this project, he respected Zack Snyder's vision that he had already set up for this film and didn't really take away from that, but helped add more to it to make it even better. I'm not saying if Zack Snyder hadn't worked on it early on and that tragic event didn't actually happen to him and he stayed on for the entire film, that the movie wouldn't be like that, but I'm just saying that the comedy that is in this movie does feel very much like a Joss Whedon film. Whereas in the way the movie is shot and the story unfolds on screen, it is very much Zack Snyder. And that was one of my worries when I heard that someone else was taking over, or that the two directors' tones were going to clash, except that's not the case in this movie. They both seem to respect what the other one's done for the film, and it's made the movie so much more enjoyable, fun, and entertaining seeing these two work together. Although it wasn't so much working together as someone leaving and the other one having to take over, but still the end project that they both worked on was absolutely fantastic. The issues that I have with the film, and yes, there are some issues with this movie despite the fact I did absolutely love it, the issues that I have with this movie is it is under 2 hours long, and I know that's not really an issue for most people to just go into a 2 hour long film. I mean, some people may think over 2 hours is you're stretching it. However, because there are three main characters that you really need to set up in this movie, that being Aquaman, The Flash, and Cyborg, you just brush over their introductions very quickly. Granted, like I said, they do focus a lot on Cyborg, but that does leave Ezra Miller's Flash and Jason Momoa's Aquaman a little bit in the background. I mean, when you first meet these characters, they are so quickly introduced and it moves so quickly onto the next scene that you feel a little bit like there should be some other things there. There feels like there's something missing from there. I don't know whether this movie was cut to 2 hours immediately and they're going to keep it that way, or whether an Ultimate Edition is going to be released on Blu-ray, in which, if it is, I'm definitely going to buy it. It sounds awesome. But the movie does rush by the introduction of these characters very, very quickly, and the movie does move at a very fast pace. Not that I'm too bothered about the fast pace moving after the characters are introduced. I would have liked to have got to know more about these characters, especially for someone who doesn't know much about the comics or the Teen Titans show. I didn't really watch the Teen Titans as a kid, so I didn't know much about Cyborg. I don't even know that much about Aquaman, if I'm being completely honest, but I know a lot about The Flash due to the Flash TV show. However, non-DC fans or people who are just casual movie goers, if they go into this movie knowing nothing about these characters previously from their comics, their origins, or anything like that, they're going to be a little bit confused, and when the characters are just brushed over like that, they're not going to know anything about them, and probably be wondering that when they make references to their origins or their backstories or things that have happened in their past, they're going to be confused by that. Another small issue I have is the score for this movie isn't as epic or as big as the other movies previously. I mean, it's done by Danny Elfman, who I do think is a great composer, and although he does well in bringing back some of the old scores that we know from like Batman and Wonder Woman, the new score that he actually incorporates into this movie isn't as great as his other scores in the past. It's not as great as the other DC films that we've heard in the past. So yeah, the score's a little bit of a down for me. It's not something that completely ruins the movie or anything like that. I just thought I'd pick up on it a little bit. Just mention my personal thoughts on the score for this film, which I didn't think was as good as previous movies beforehand, but not so bad that it takes away from the overall enjoyment of the film. My final issue with this movie is the villain. Steppenwolf is very one-dimensional and bland and a bit boring, if I'm being honest. Kieran Hines does a good job of voicing the character and portraying the character in a certain way, but the movie doesn't give enough time to really develop his characters, to just give him reasons as to why he's doing this. He's basically just a bad guy who wants to do bad guy things because he's a bad guy. But I can kind of overlook that a little bit because this movie isn't really about developing the villain. It's more about bringing the Justice League together, which I got, and they did that so well in this film that I can kind of overlook the very weak villain. I'll also say the CGI for him was very much like a video game that you see nowadays, so that was a bit of an issue. The CGI overall isn't really terrible, and the CGI for Cyborg is absolutely fantastic in certain points. I mean, you can see at certain points where it is a bit more noticeable than others, but for the most part you can tell they spent a lot of time and effort defining the look of Cyborg for the film. And the last thing I'm going to touch upon isn't a negative, it is a positive, but the reason I'm not going to go into so much detail about it is because if you're not a full DC fan and you've only seen the films and they're the things that you enjoy, I don't want to spoil something for you guys. But there is a character that does make a comeback in this movie from the previous films. Anyone who is a DC fan will know who it is immediately, and the way that they are brought back I absolutely loved. I felt like it was necessary. It wasn't too big, they didn't focus so much on it. The way they did it did the character justice, it gave the character a reason to be there, and it was absolutely the best I have ever seen that particular actor in that particular role. Hopefully I was vague enough there. Overall, Justice League is tons of fun. I absolutely loved it. It was exactly what I wanted out of this movie. It's incredibly entertaining. It's incredibly funny. The tones didn't clash. In fact, they all worked perfectly together. Sure, the pacing is very fast at the start. They do brush over the characters' introductions very quickly, which could have been worked on a little bit more. And the villain was a little bit weak, and admittedly, the villain does mention Darkseid in the movie, which immediately made me lose all interest in him, and I just immediately wanted to see Darkseid. That was just me, I think, maybe. I don't know, but he mentioned Darkseid. I want to see Darkseid. Sequel. But yes, overall, Justice League, tons of fun. I absolutely love this movie. If you loved the other DC films, you will have a great time with this one. It's not the best DC film. My favourite is still Wonder Woman so far, but it's exactly what I wanted out of this film. Like I said, tons of fun, very entertaining. I didn't leave disappointed. Although a few flaws, I had a great time with it, and so, for all those reasons, I'm going to give the Justice League 4 stars. So, the Justice League, have you guys seen it yet? What did you think about it? And what is your favourite DCEU film so far? Whatever it is, whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comment section below. Thanks as always for watching, guys. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and if you want to see more videos just like this one, then subscribe to my channel for more. Thanks again for watching. You guys are awesome, and I will see you all in the next video.